Right, I'm here with Matt Cardle, ahead of his performance on the Rooftop, the live stream. How are you doing, Matt?
I'm good, Cam. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you.
Awesome.
So, we're down here in the Biblio at the Trafalgar St James Hotel. Lovely space downstairs. So, how do you feel about a performance like this, a live stream rather than a live show as such?
You know what? It's totally different. You get the reaction from a crowd and a bit of an atmosphere from the crowd. Obviously, doing it live. I've done one of these before, and the lack of clapping was what's most off-putting. But then, if it's good, you like the clap. But if if it turns out shit, then at least you don't hear the bad reaction either.
Right.
But it's cool, and it's just very, very different. I would always prefer a crowd. Everybody would, but in this day and age, this is how we're doing it.
Yeah, I guess you have to make the most of what you've got.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it also allows sort of new people to watch. If people aren't going to be able to come to your shows and they can watch the stream, then
totally.
even better.
Totally.
So you have a single coming out on Last Man, Purple Crayon. It's a really, really nice record. I listened to it. It's awesome.
Thanks, Cam.
What can you tell us about the single? Where was it recorded and so on?
Well, it was a lot of it was recorded in my studio, but it was one of those things that came out of lockdown. Really, I do a lot of writing at home, and I do a lot of writing with my missus as well. We like to party and get a bit loose and write songs and
that's
stuff.
That's when the best writing happens.
Yeah, exactly. It's that 4 a.m. tip. But no, it's the lot of my previous albums have been about relationships and things like that, and I'd done enough of that, and then I wanted to write an album that was about something that not meant more, because they obviously mean stuff to me, but was a bit more sort of raw and honest. So a lot of the new album is about addiction and recovery and the process that I went through in sort of 2013-14, and Purple Crayon is it's about it's a mixture between my favourite children's book called Harold and the Purple Crayon and the kind of parachute that can be Valium, for any kind of situation, and it's that kind of escape / safety net that you get, and the book about Harold and the Purple Crayon is he draws whatever he wants, and it just kind of comes to life. And at one point he's falling off a mountain, he draws himself a balloon and all that kind of stuff. So it's loosely based on that book, but it's actually a bit deeper and darker than a children's book. But I'm excited for it to come out.
As am I. So the artwork for the single, it's really nice. It's an abstract painting. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, please?
Well, the idea behind it was initially my kind of hatred for having my photo taken. Do you know what I mean? I'm in the wrong game for not liking it, but I don't. I just hate looking at photos of myself, and I can't choose one because I hate them all. Anyway, I won't go into it. But so for every album that I've done previously, there was always a big photo shoot around the cover, and I just hate them. I was like, I know how to avoid that. And there's a girl that lives upstairs to me called Aurélie, a French girl. She's an artist, incredible artist, and we were around her flat a little while ago, and I was like, do you do commissions? And she was like, well, actually, I do stuff that, you can choose some of my paintings and my artwork. So we've chosen one, and we're going to take a section of the full picture for each of the singles, because there's a lot going on in it, and we found little things that go with each of the singles. So it was me being lazy at the start, but actually I think it's kind of cooler than any cover for a single that I've done, just purely because I'm not in it. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. I think it's important to sort of draw influence from bits apart from just like your picture.
Exactly. And I think it's just another level of kind of artistry to it, rather than me just looking moody again. With some clever lighting.
Absolutely. Also, obviously you've kind of been in the limelight for a while. How have you changed as an artist, and do you think you've musically changed and changed as yourself over the years?
I think musically I've changed, definitely. I have to, because otherwise the fan base would get bored of knocking out similar kind of genre I mean, I've not changed genre completely. Production value has changed throughout the sort of, this would be the 5th album I'm into now. And also just for myself, to keep myself entertained with it and keep it fresh. And I mean, before, when I did the first album with Psycho, I mean, if it wasn't the telly coming through a Vox, or I couldn't see how it was being played, I didn't want to know. Do you know what I mean? I was a bit like, well, where's that sound coming from? And they're like, oh, Omnisphere. I'm like, I don't know what that is. Just get rid of it. But now I'm getting right into the soft synths, which is from working with Jim Elliott on the latest album. And just realising that there's so much good shit in the box. Do you know what I mean?
I think like once you start to have a grip on sort of your own productions and how you want things to sound, it sort of just makes things better. Right?
Exactly, Cam, and that's what's happened specifically with this. I mean, I kind of, Jim produced Time to Be Alive, the latest one, but I'd been doing so much writing and so much producing myself. I was like, I think I can do it myself now, and I'd produced Purple Crayon myself. I didn't mix it because it's a dark art and I'm not sure how that shit works. But yeah, so I produced the record and I know what I want it to sound like and I know how to get that now.
And no one else does, that's the thing. When you have an idea in your head, this is what I want it to sound like. You can't have someone else come in, it's too hard to sort of...
Exactly, and also my missus is brilliant with the production stuff. Like, I'll sit there and I'll be like, what's that? Do you reckon? She's like, that's fucking horrible. And I'm like, no, you're right. So she's great to bounce off as well. It's cool.
So it's been a strange year for everyone.
Yeah.
What have you been doing to sort of keep yourself busy and keep yourself entertained over the period?
I spent a lot of the first lockdown back in Suffolk with my missus at my parents' house. We've got a dog, so we felt it was a bit rough to be in town. We quarantined hard for 3 weeks before we went. We weren't breaking any rules, just so we could run.
No broken rules.
Just so we could run the dog around every day in the fields and get away. So it wasn't too bad, to be fair. I mean, I know that it's been so different for everyone, and it sucked for a lot of people. But for a fair whack of people, it hasn't changed what they're doing. Like, I was talking to the mix engineer for Purple Crayon, and he was like, nothing's changed. I still sit in the studio on my own, mixing records.
It definitely affected some people a lot more than it did others.
My heart goes out to all the people that it has, lost lives, for God's sake. It's horrible. But for me and my little family, my missus and my dog, it's been time to write songs and mess about in the studio and drink too much.
And I definitely think it's a case of, like, after this, musically speaking, there's going to be a lot of good stuff coming out, and there already is from the first lockdown. There's people putting out great music, and it's a time to get super creative. And
no, absolutely, and I think if you can take advantage of that, which we have done, to the best of our ability. But I mean, having the studio at home, it's like it's staring you in the face, and you should be in there. But there's times that you want to play Call of Duty. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Exactly. So you've released on some big major labels. I mean, Psycho, Universal, Columbia. How does that compare in comparison to working with sort of indie labels like Last Man and the ones that you've worked with?
Being honest, I prefer it this way because it's that thing that we touched on earlier about the production, not just the production of the song, but the production of how everything looks. The fact that I was able to talk to Orly about doing this and then put it to you guys, and you're like, we love it. I mean, like, you just don't get that.
It's not as
at major labels. It's like there's a guy or a girl or someone there with their idea. And you've got to marry the two up, which I understand, because there's a lot of money flying around and responsibilities on people.
It's a different world.
It's a totally different world, but it's not one that I feel like my music fits in particularly well with the amount of control that I want. I'm not a control freak, but when you've been doing it all your life and then someone wades in, it's like, oh, I think you should wear this and sound like that. You're like, no, I don't.
Exactly.
I'd rather wear this and sound.
It takes away the sort of artistry element of it sometimes.
Absolutely, I think so.
Yeah. You've achieved an awful lot in your career. What advice would you give to sort of musicians coming through and aspiring musicians?
Honestly, Cam, just never give up. Like, that's the one. If you want something hard enough and you try hard enough and you try for long enough, you know, it will happen in one shape or another. You know, and that's all I can say is practice, 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 and just never give up. That's really all I can say.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. All right, so you've made the move over to musical theatre fairly recently. How's that been for you?
It's been amazing. It wasn't something that I ever thought I would do or really wanted to do, with all due respect. It wasn't, and I mean growing up, not now, you know. It's a totally different ball game for me now. But, you know, when I was growing up in metal bands and things like that, if you said I'd be in the West End, I would have spat at you. You know? I'm joking. But like, I would have been like, nah, I never do that. And then you grow up, like when you stop liking Ibanez and start liking Telecasters, it's like you grow up a little bit, you know. So it was Memphis was the first one I did with Beverly Knight. Was just phenomenal, and the lead guy Killian was leaving, and they asked me if I wanted to come and try out, and I was like, you know, I love it, but I don't know if I can do it. But then one thing led to another, and you know, I'm into 3 or 4 now, I think it is. I did Jesus Christ Superstar just last year, playing Pilot. That was intense. Whipping the guy and killing him every night.
No, but it is a completely different ball game. But I think a lot of people have done it, and so that when you make it work, and it just adds another sort of feather to your bow. Yeah,
and you know, it's another, because of the way the industry is at the moment. You know, as many avenues you can follow to keep it going, then do that. Because if you pigeonhole yourself, if that dries up, then you know.
Do you think it's changed the way that you write your music? And also perform, or
God forbid. God forbid if it did. I mean, I love the music of the West End, but if it crept into mine, I think, you know, like key changes and huge, huge middle eights, and what are you talking about? Angelical? What? No. Do you know what? What it's done really is help me strengthen my voice, because you have to do like 8 shows a week, and it's the warming up and the warming down that really. You know, it's just a muscle. It's all muscles in there that move it around. So the more you work out those muscles, the stronger it gets. Like when you're in the middle of a run of a show, you can wake up at 6 a.m. and go, woo! It's like, wow, it's just all turned on the whole time. That's what it's done for me, which is cool.
That's wicked, yeah. So besides the record Purple Crayon coming out on Last Man, what can we expect from you in 2021?
Well, the other 2 singles to follow Purple Crayon, we've got one called We're the Butterflies, one called, it doesn't have a title yet, it's that fresh. The song's written, they're being mixed, one of them at least at the moment. So that and the rest of the album, fingers crossed, you know, if everyone enjoys what we're doing. Any kind of theatre stuff that comes around, I love it, and I will always do it. But just as much live work as we're, you know, permitted to do. Really.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're hopefully getting to a point where that can start to sort of enter our lives again.
Yeah. I think, someone's going to strap me to a gurney and jab me with the vaccine. I mean, I don't want it, but you know, I guess I'll have to have it if I want to travel.
Thanks a lot for the interview.
Thank you, Cam.
I'm very excited to see the live stream.
Awesome.
And I hope everyone at home is excited to watch it too. This is Matt Cardle on Last Man Music TV.
Wonderful.
Nice one.
Cheers, chaps.
Nice one,
Real pleasure.